Got a lot of college football to talk about. You notice no Frank Frangie this week. Justin Barney, Alessandro Pontbrand, and we're talking some college football. We got a lot to go about this week. Frank Frangie is in London with the Jaguars, and we got some good college football games to talk about. First off, primetime game, SEC matchup, #1 Georgia Bulldogs, Kentucky Wildcats. Ray Davis ran wild against Florida last week. Can he do it against Georgia?
Yeah, and that's going to be the biggest thing for Georgia, to be able to limit Ray Davis. He is very, very good this season for Kentucky. It's going to be a top 20 ranked matchup, #20 Kentucky at #1 Georgia, like you said, in primetime. This is Georgia's highest ranked opponent of the season thus far. The biggest issue with the undefeated Bulldogs is their slow starts on offense. That is what fans are really criticizing them about. And hosting #20 Kentucky this Saturday, that's going to be something that they need to get out in front early, because Kentucky, like you said with Ray Davis, very, very good. So hopefully their offense with quarterback Carson Beck, the Mandarin guy, can start going. Only 10 points versus Auburn in the first half last season. They won 27-20, but they should have been able to score more than 10 points in the first half.
I mean, Ray Davis ran wild last week for Kentucky. I mean, 280 rushing yards. I don't know if he does that against the Bulldogs, but again, I mean, coming off that game at home, great game for Ray Davis and the Wildcats. Georgia had a tough one. Brock Bowers had a great game. Carson Beck with a great game, but a big one for the Georgia Bulldogs. They let that lead in that #1 votes and the AP rankings slip a little bit. Only 35 first-place votes this week, so AP poll voters not impressed as Georgia as we have been. Okay, can Florida get back on track this week? I mean, what is the deal with the Gators? There's calls for Billy Napier's job to hire an offensive coordinator. Can Florida get back on track at home?
Florida's like a toxic relationship this season. That's how I feel the Gators are. They slipped out of the top 25. They did lose to Kentucky, who now Georgia will host this weekend. Florida's hosting Vanderbilt. Last season, it was a disappointing loss to the Commodores, 31-24 the final score. It's going to be homecoming week for the Gators. I think that fans will be really into the game. Hopefully they can help, hopefully pull out a victory. Vanderbilt, they are winless, 0-2 in the SEC. So if they can pull out a victory over Florida, that would be very good for them. Very disappointing for Florida. I still think that Graham Mertz and co. can pull out a win at home. So hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, Florida's been good at home. Florida's been good at home.
And their defense has been phenomenal this season.
Until last week. So you figured you figured the line of scrimmage last week, that would be the separator, and they could pull away from that game, and they just did not get it done. Last one, we're talking about Florida State. They've scaled the mountain already in the ACC and Clemson.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech. Can they get past Virginia Tech?
Yeah, absolutely. Florida State's #5. They're hosting Virginia Tech this week. They're coming off their bye week, so they've had 1 week of rest. We're just focusing on the fundamentals. That's what a lot of college football teams do in the bye week. Now they're hosting Virginia Tech. Should be an easy win for them. For them, looking forward, Miami is going to be really the toughest opponent that they probably will face this season. That's coming up later in the season. So that's the one that Florida State fans need to be a little hesitant about. Maybe,
unbeaten Hurricanes. Throwback to the rivalry of the 80s. Florida State, Miami for all the marbles later in the year. Frank Frangie will be back from London next week for Campus Corner. That'll do it for sports.